everyone. Welcome to the Pitch Your Pick podcast, the podcast we dive deep in all the sports books, find our favorite plays, and pitch them to each other to find our favorite plays or the best plays every single day. Today is February 27th of 2022. I'm Joe. This is Jer. This is Jer on the other side. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing well. It was a busy Saturday. Didn't make too many bets today, but I finished off the night having some good food, and I had a good Saturday. So I'm ready to get into this podcast, get it out for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a long day myself. Trust, I look tired as hell. You guys can probably see it, but it's going to be a fun time nonetheless. We're going to have some fun. So, Jared actually has a pretty decent new idea that we're going to try out for the recaps or the previews of the games for the night, which is going to be pretty cool. So stay tuned for that. But before we do any of that, we have to check the plays from yesterday. Some tough ones, right? It wasn't our hottest start. We were a total of 1-3, which is all right. Giannis is under. Honestly, if I would have switched my Giannis under and over, I would have been a solid, perfect 2-0. But that's not how she ran. The Saddiq Bey play was one of the most beautiful things I've seen in my life. Over 2.5 assists. Beautiful check. And the Canadians sadly only had 2, so that team total did not go to plan. So it was a tough one. Anyway, we can switch it over here, and Jack can bring us through the NHL.
Yeah, so tonight on the NHL, there's a bunch of games, and if you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys know that I like my NHL shot on goal props with for players. And I want to try something new tonight and go through a few teams I want to target for some players, and I'm just gonna list them off here for you guys to look at for tomorrow. So the first team I want to look at is the Oilers and Evander Kane. I like his under tomorrow. And then for Carolina, 2 overs that I like are Sebastian Aho and Teuvo Teravainen. And for the Blues, I like Jordan Kyrou and Ryan O'Reilly to go over. For the Blackhawks, I like Patrick Kane to go over and Seth Jones. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins, I got 3 going up against the Blue Jackets, who give up a ton of shots on goal. I like Letang, Crosby, and Gensel. And then for the Blue Jackets, I like Jenner and Laine to go over as well.
Okay, I like that. Just some quick hitters. We want to not do as many official plays, but when there's a slate like this where there's so many good games, he figured it was a really good idea to just give you guys a little bit more information, which honestly I'm a fan of. You guys can check those out. It's just like a baseline idea to head into those and get some extra details in those yourself. Switching it over to the NBA, we have a decent slate of games as well. We were talking a little bit about this. We actually think there's quite a few good opportunities depending on what teams that you like. But honestly, we're going to get it started with the 76ers and Knicks. We're going to really get into that game. We both, I think, have picks in this game, though we don't know what each other's are, and they're going to be a bit different, hopefully. The Suns versus the Jazz is 2 of the top teams in the NBA. That's going to be really fun to watch. I don't really think there's too many player props that you would want to look into this because you never know what's going to happen in a good game like this. Booker could go off. Donovan Mitchell could go off. I'm not really too confident with that. Celtics Pacers is probably going to be a beatdown. We have the Hornets probably beating down on the Pistons. A fun one between the Mavericks and the Warriors. And we get to watch the Lakers make a fool of themselves at home again, which is always going to be a fun time. And then when it comes to the college basketball slate, not too many games going on tonight. We have UConn versus Georgetown, but this is an 11-point favorite for UConn. Georgetown is 6-21. And they're 0-16 in the Big East. Honestly, I would just stay clear of this game. Probably not going to be too interesting. Houston versus SMU should be an okay game, but Houston should run away with this. The Illinois-Michigan game, which we're going to cover a little bit later. And we have Ohio State versus Maryland. And then when you dive into the normal Division I games, there's some decent slates, but I'm not going to lie, most of the stuff happened yesterday, so it's looking a little thin. Anyway, we're going to let Jair start us off with this one just because it feels right when he's leading the podcast with the picks. So we're going to throw it over to him for his first one of the night.
All right, so my first pick's going to be in the NHL. I'm going to look at the St. Louis Blues and Chicago Blackhawks game. And the St. Louis Blues are the most profitable team against the spread in the NHL. They're 31-20 against the spread. The Blackhawks are the 22nd ranked team in the NHL against the spread, and they're 26-27 against the spread. So far this season, these two teams have played each other 3 times already. The first 2 matchups were in October and November, so they were kind of a long time ago. And where the Blues won the first game, it was 1-0, and the Blackhawks won the second game in overtime 3-2. The most recent game that was played in February, the Blues won 5-1. The Blues have been on fire recently, actually. The puck line is hit in the last 5 out of 6 games for the Blues. On the other side, the Blackhawks haven't been playing well recently. They're only 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games, and they're giving up 3.80 goals a game over that same span. The Blues have been heating up. As I said, they've been winners in their last 5 of 6, and they're looking to extend their win streak to 4 games tonight. Over this 6-game stretch, they're averaging 4.5 goals a game. The Blues are the 4th-ranked scoring offense in the NHL, averaging 3.6 goals per game. The Blackhawks are one of the worst offensives in the NHL. They rank 30th in goals scored with only 2.5. The Blues are the 6th best defense in the NHL, only allowing 2.7 goals per game. As I said recently, the Blackhawks have been giving up goals. That trend really isn't new. They rank 24th in goals allowed per game on the season. The Blues have produced the 4th most high danger scoring chances in the NHL this season, and the Blackhawks goalies rank 27th in high danger chances save percentage. The Blues have also had some of the best goaltending in the NHL this season. They rank 5th in save percentage and are 1st in high danger save percentage. Both the Blackhawks and the Blues are in the bottom 10 of the NHL in penalty minutes per game, but the Blues have a lethal power play that ranks 3rd in the NHL against the Chicago penalty kill that ranks 29th. The Blues have been scoring 3.25 goals a game on the road this season, and the Blackhawks have been giving up over 3.5 goals per game at home this season. This can be my first kind of ballsy play on the podcast. I'm going to take the Blues on the puck line, -1.5 at +146.
All right. So because I am a filthy casual in this NHL stuff, I'm going to be completely honest, not really understanding too much, but I'll throw it over and say for the most people that know the NHL, they'll be going with it. I will say it looks to be interesting between these two teams. Obviously, if you have one who's really good at getting it inside, and you have one team that's really not too great at defending it, it's going to obviously lead to some interesting things. But I'm going to leave that to the NHL experts out there and not try to, spit anything out that is a little bit fugazi. So in the spirit of finishing it off strong with the NBA, I figured since we both have, that Knicks and 76ers game that we want to talk about, we're going to leave that to the end, and I'm going to take mine over to college basketball for that Illinois game that we were talking about. Or that I mentioned a little bit earlier. And it's Illinois versus Michigan. This is a game that I actually really like just because Michigan they lost me some money a few days ago against that Rutgers game. So, I have a little bit of spite against them, I guess we'll say. But right now, the line is looking very even. And I actually am going to be taking Illinois to be the 1-point favorites over Michigan. That's all I can see is -1 for both teams. You can pick. You can grab the money line. Honestly, I think this is going to be one of the best games that we have at the night. It's not really saying much. It's a weak night. But we have two teams who are fighting in their conference. Michigan has started off really weak this season, but has really been picking it up in their recent games, picking up that win against Rutgers. Obviously, a blowout loss to Wisconsin, but they did beat Iowa, another close game against Ohio State, and they beat one of the best teams in their conference, the Big Ten, Purdue, which is always looking great. Now, Illinois is a team that's really been at the top of the conference the entire time. They're one of the best teams in the country. They're 12-5 in the conference, 19-8 overall, and they're just looking insane. Illinois is fighting to get that #1 seed in the Big Ten, which obviously is better for the Big Ten conference championships, which you'd love to see. And Michigan is trying to make a bid for their NCAA tournament. So both of these teams really have something to fight for in this game, which is awesome to see. Now, if we look at Illinois, they are crazy good. They are the 20th best offense in the country and the 27th best defense. They're just an all-around, really well-oiled machine, and they accomplished most of this because of Kofi Cockburn. Please ignore the name. It's Cockburn, I promise. Now, Kofi is absolutely insane. This is a 7-foot junior who is averaging 21.2 points and 10.8 rebounds. This guy is a man on a mission in the paint. Now, luckily for Michigan, they do have another great center, Hunter Dickinson, but it's really hard to contain Kofi Cockburn. This guy is just an absolute demon when it comes to just getting buckets in the paint. They shoot 45% from the field and 36% from three. Illinois also scores 76 points per game as a team, and they only limit opposing teams to 67.5 points per game. That's almost a 10-point wins or 10 points in their wins average every single game, which is absolutely insane for a team. Now, it's not all bad for Michigan, guys, going against this Illinois team. They are currently the 24th best offense and the 68th ranked defense. So they're still a great offense, but the defense is lacking behind a little bit. Now, Hunter Dickinson has played amazing all season, and he's actually been playing even better as of late. Was great in that game against Rutgers, but the problems come for Michigan when you look at their last six. They're only 1-5 at the spread and 0-4 following a win at the spread, which they currently are against Rutgers. So it's looking a little bit tough. Illinois is coming off a 3-point loss to Ohio State at home, and that's really not something that you want. It was a really close contested game, so I think they want to come out here with some firepower, show that they're meant to be out here, and just the typical sign of every other team that's gone against Illinois, and just realizing that they cannot guard Kofi in the paint and all the other weapons that they have at the 3-point line overall for Illinois. I just think with the Michigan team, who is a good offense but slightly weaker on defense, they're just not going to be able to contain a insanely good offense as this Illinois team is. And it's just going to be an easy game, I will say, for Illinois as far as a 2 to 3 point favorite can be. But I think it's a pretty easy one for Illinois to take.
Well, I mean, I don't think your easy game take is wrong, because they played on January 14th and it was 6. They won by 10. So
yeah, there is a stipulation in that game if you want to look at it. I'm pretty sure Hunter Dickinson didn't play in that game, which is why I didn't want to mention it too much, just because you put Hunter in there, and I think that's 3 to 4 point game without their best player. But it is good for Michigan that they were still able to get off 53 points against Illinois in that game. But again, it's going to be tough. I mean, Kofi is an absolute animal inside. You got a guy averaging 21 and 10 in college at 7 foot, can just pop people in the paint. I think it's going to be a battle of the big men, and I don't think Kofi has lost a battle of the big men so far this season.
And something else I see interesting here. Over the last 4 times these schools have played each other, the under has gone way under. It's gone under 4 games in a row. Illinois has also covered the spread in all 4 of those games since December 11th, 2019. But the under's gone under by 10, 15, 16, and 21.
Yeah, and they both play very slow this season as well. Not slow, but I guess they're more middle of the pack. So both of these teams are kind of comfortable with that slow playing game. So it'll be interesting to see who's more comfortable, I guess, with that game playing slow. But I think the benefit to Illinois is that they've been comfortable in those low-scoring games and have still been able to win those. And they've been able to, play those really fast-paced games and win those as well. Whereas Michigan, it's kind of a mixed bag what you're getting with them. You don't know if you're going to get this absolutely insane Michigan team that's looking like they could easily coast to at least the Elite Eight, or if you're going to get a Michigan team that's going to get beat in the round of 64, which is really what is making me go with Illinois. Is I just like the consistency out of this team versus the up and downness of Michigan.
Yeah, I like the Illinois play, and a bonus play for I would also bet the under in this game. I like the under as well.
Yeah, that's a good shout. So I guess we can switch this over to the 76ers versus the Knicks. And I'll let him go off because he hinted that he doesn't have a player prop for this one. And because I have one, I guess I'll let him talk about the game a little bit. And then I'll give some insight into why I think a certain player in this can take advantage of some of those game-to-game things.
So something that you guys are going to come to know about me is I like to fade the New York Knicks. So tonight the 76ers are on the road at the Garden. The 76ers are the most profitable, or 4th most profitable team on the road this season. And the Knicks are the 8th least profitable team at home this season, as we learned a couple episodes ago. The Knicks are 13 and 18 against the spread at home this season, whereas the 76ers are 19-11 against the spread on the road this season. Obviously, there's a pretty big addition to the 76ers team in James Harden, which I will admit I'm not the biggest James Harden fan. But I think I said to Joe on the day this trade happened that Embiid was the only guy in the NBA that he could play with, that he would be the old James Harden again. And I think these two are going to be a really good duo. This was demonstrated in the first game together where we saw them just dismantle the Timberwolves. They just ran them out of the gym. And we're already seeing videos of Embiid on Twitter doing James Harden step backs, and I think these two just work on the same wavelength together. I really think this is going to work for Philly, and it's setting up for like a beautiful honeymoon stage run. After dismantling the Minnesota team, now they play the Knicks. I think the Knicks are just hanging on by a thread. They're coming off a 5-point loss to the Miami Heat, and in that game it took 46 points out of RJ Barrett to keep it close. I don't really trust him to put up 46 again against the 7th ranked scoring defense in the NBA. And then the question is, if RJ goes off, who doesn't? Because I don't think it'll be Julius Randle in Embiid's paint. As I mentioned, the 76ers rank 7th in scoring defense, but they also rank 8th in opponent field goal percentage, whereas the Knicks rank 27th and 28th in field goal percentage or points scored and field goal percentage. I really think this is a chance to ride the honeymoon stage for this 76ers team. They scored 133 points in that first game with James Harden. I think at this point in Harden's career, he and Embiid are a perfect match together. This Knicks team is reeling right now. They're 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games. I honestly think this is a 15-point win for the 76ers. I'm going to lay the 7 points, I think it is, with the Sixers in this game. But I think it finishes by 15 plus for the Sixers.
I mean, you're basically doing my work for me. I don't have to pitch my own pick. You just did it for me. Now, my pick in this was I was going to be going with the honeymoon duo in James Harden, having some fun out there. Now, my pick specifically for James Harden was going to be his over on points because it's currently set at 21.5, which, I mean, let's be honest. Anybody that has kept any eyes on James Harden, 21.5 points for James Harden is a cakewalk. That guy can get that in a quarter. Let's be honest. It's easily as hell for him. And now on top of this, we were talking about that game, last game that they played against the Timberwolves. I mean, he really didn't even look like he was trying that hard to even fit into the system. He
never looks like he's trying.
And he was piecing him. I mean,
never. I think that's part of why they get along so well. It's both. I wanted to say this. Both of them, just kind of like it's just like kind of like that Luka. Just gawking around and just piecing folks up. Just barely looks like you're not even trying. It's just an easy 40 piece.
Yeah, and he had 27, 12, and 8 in that game, along with Embiid having 34, 10, and 3, which honestly, one of the questions that I had with this team was, how are they going to be on offense? How well are they going to share the ball? And so far, it's really looked okay. Granted, it is only one game, and that is my main if with this pick is, James Harden is still getting used to this new defense. He's still getting used to playing with the 76ers, and that could cause some problems for them. But in looking at the Knicks, they're supposedly the 5th best guard defensive rating. But in the last 5 games, they've allowed Tyler Hero to drop 25, Cam Thomas to drop 21, Anthony Simons to drop 30, Terrence Mann to drop 30, and they let Curry go for 35. So they're really not playing great guard defense. And against a guy like James Harden, who will not hesitate to take literally any shot over you, I think that's going to be a little bit tough. Also, considering the Knicks allowed the 6th most points to opponents in the league, it's kind of seeming like that 7th overall defensive rating is a little bit suspect, at least to me. And you just take into the fact that it's James Harden and he can absolutely cook any of these guys on any given night. I think it's going to be great. Plus, you have a guy like Embiid where if he decides he actually wants some screens every now and then, Embiid is one of the best screen setters in the league. It's just going to be good overall. I think this is an easy, over 21.5 for James Harden right now. Honestly, in my opinion, I just think this is a line that he can hit in his sleep.
Yeah, no argument there.
So,
I'll take 35. Thanks.
yeah, I think it's as simple as it comes. These may seem like some boring picks, but these are the easy ones, man. These are the easy ones. I like it. So honestly, I would like to take James Harden over on that and Philly to cover that spread pretty handily, especially against this Knicks team. Because honestly, like you said, I'm not very handedly impressed with the Knicks. And this Knicks team is actually notorious for blowing leads, specifically in the second half, as well as being one of the worst fourth quarter teams just out there right now. These guys just suck when it comes to outside of the second half. So even if you see a first quarter, he's just getting a little out of hand, I wouldn't worry about it too much. So we're going to go quickly and set up our picks for the day screen. Oh, we're coming in hot. Okay, I like this.
This is a free bonus play.
Okay. I'm interested.
And it's a bet until further notice. It was a pick yesterday on yesterday's podcast.
Ooh.
Bet it every time the Pistons play. Saddiq Bey over 2.5. Bet it every game.
Oh, okay. Official podcast play right here by Jared. A Saddiq Bey over 2.5 assists. I love it. Saddiq, boom, easy 3 assists last night against it. Now they are playing a back-to-back, which is a little bit tough, but who cares? Saddiq Bey, absolute demon, free bet.
It's Charlotte.
It is Charlotte. They play no defense themselves. So, I like that one as well. Obviously, you can do your own full research if you want to see if that's going to be a 100% great play. But I can tell you for almost certain both of us are probably going to be playing that tonight.
8 out of the 10 in his last 10 games.
So we'll set that full screen up for you after this and catch you guys there in a second. All right, so here are today's picks. We have Illinois at -1 versus Michigan at -110. The Blues -1.5 puck line versus the Blackhawks at +146, a spicy one. 76ers at -7.5 versus the Knicks. And in that same 76ers game, we have James Harden at over 21.5 points. Both of those are at -110 currently, though I have a feeling those may change as the day goes on throughout. So if you guys are watching us on YouTube, hit that like button down below, comment what you guys think of the podcast, and hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching on any of the podcast platforms, leave us a review, that juicy 5 stars we know to keep doing all of these wonderful things every single day. Go out there, make some bets, and make some money.